This is a presentation of BSRN, Box Studios Radio Network. The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here is your host of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for March 7th, 2024. This is episode number 29 in season number 13 and episode 414 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. I am your host, Bob Howard. Thank you very much for tuning in and listening. And we have a great show planned for you. I really enjoyed talking to Josh Fletcher, Binghamton Black Bears Forward, earlier today. I can't wait for you guys to get to hear that conversation with Josh. Really great kid. Comes to us out of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So very excited to have him on. And for you guys to hear all the different things that we talked about from starting off in youth hockey and where he is today. We even talked to him about the fight that he had against the Watertown Wolves against Trevor Lord and Tate Leeson and that whole situation that happened there. So really excited. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But the Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search for the Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast. And please subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and search for Power Play Post Show and join that group. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. And on this edition of the Power Play Post Show, as I said just a few minutes ago, Binghamton Black Bears Forward, Josh Fletcher. So that'll be a really great interview. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this upcoming weekend's games. So here are our previews of Friday's game against the Elmira River Sharks in Elmira. This is the 10th game versus the River Sharks this season. The Black Bears are 6-2-1 versus their I-86 rivals. The Black Bears are 2-2-1 in Elmira this season, including the last game, which was a loss, 6-3 loss to the River Sharks last Friday. Coach Sherwood said on the Tully's Good Time Coaches Show that the Black Bears did not bring the energy or the physicality. They just did not play Black Bears hockey at all. Probably the big news of the weekend is of this week was that Sam Levecki was signed to the River Sharks this week, maybe to get information, maybe to play against his former team. We'll certainly see. The power play for the River Sharks is 19%. Penalty kill is 76%. Black Bears is 28% and 82%. Stephen Klink is their leading goal scorer right now, or point getter for that matter. 20 goals, 30 assists for 50 points in 33 games played this season. Who will start against the Black Bears? Now, they have some options. Sammy Bernard, who obviously we've seen plenty this year, and we know what he can do. Frankie McClendon, who played well with the Carolina Thunderbirds earlier this season, or Sam Levecki, who knows the Black Bears inside and out. This will definitely be an interesting game between the two teams. I really do think that because, they lost to the River Sharks a few weeks ago and then came back and won on Valentine's Day 10-2, I think they'll bounce back. I really do think that the Black Bears probably do not want to continue this trend of, lose a game to Elmira, come back and have to win a game. But they're going to have to do that, obviously, this Friday, because the weekend doesn't get any easier after that. After Friday night, they have Saturday against the Danbury Hat in Danbury. Now, they've fared well against Danbury this year, and they've fared well in Danbury, not just in Binghamton. This will be the 15th game versus the Hat-Tricks this season. There'll be 3 more games after the Saturday game. The Black Bears are 9-1-4 this season. against the Hat Tricks, and they're 4-0-3 in Danbury. So that's a good sign, obviously. They've learned how to win in Danbury despite a ton of distractions, things that have happened in Danbury, whether it be confrontations between, Brant Sherwood and, the higher-ups in Danbury or with Danbury, or whether it be, Brant. Well, it's a lot of Brant. Maybe Brant should not go to Danbury for these games. But either way, they've had a lot of distractions in Danbury, but they are 4-0-3 in Danbury this year. So that's a good thing. Last game was a 4-2 win for Binghamton on February 25th in Danbury. So again, they can win in Danbury. So that's not a problem. Johnny Ruiz leads the team with 30 goals, 25 assists for 55 points. On the power play, they are similar to the Elmira River Sharks, actually a little bit less on the power play, 18%. And on the penalty kill, they're very similar to Binghamton with 81% on the penalty kill. The power play for Binghamton, again, 28%, and on the penalty kill, 82%. Connor McCollum or Liam Murray? Take your pick. Who knows who they're going to play against, but they obviously have two very good goaltenders and whatnot. These are going to be two very tough games. I think, first of all, Coach Jurich has done a very good job putting this team together and finally starting to get the River Sharks in a winning way. Now, do they win every single game? No, they do not. But they are playing much better. Billy McCurry had a rough start to the season, but his team is finally starting to play better hockey now. Now, at the same time, Binghamton hasn't played its best hockey in these last, I'd say, 14 games, 12 games, and they need to start playing better hockey, especially if they want to get that championship going for that championship feeling going for this team. And they've got 16 games left, including these two games this weekend. So the one roster note I did want to bring up tonight was Taylor McCloy. He was released today. He's having visa issues, which the Fed does not have a good visa program for players that are from Canada. So you have to have your visa in order to be able to play here. He's not going to get to 15 games, so he's been released and whatnot. Do we see him next year? Who knows? Coach Sherwood has a lot of contacts and a lot of people that he talks to that he could get in. All right, so let's talk about this. What do the Black Bears have to do to get back on the consistent winning mode again? It's obviously a very difficult thing to kind of break down, but the Black Bears need to play hard for 60 minutes each game. They can't have these moments in games where they're just not hustling. There's no energy. There's no physicality. All of that has to be driven by the Black Bears. At times this year, they may not have been the most physical team, but they hustled for 60 minutes or pretty darn close to it. That is something that has to change. They also need to get Gavin Yates back into the offense quickly and scoring. They need that presence. Whether he is setting up people or whether he's scoring goals himself, they got to get him back into the scoring way again. Limit the trips to the box for retaliatory type penalties. I can't explain this enough. I can't talk about it enough. The Black Bears need to find a way to limit how many times they go to the box because they've retaliated. Those type of penalties have not only just led to obviously being man down, but sometimes led to suspensions. So that is another thing that has got to stop. Play with a full roster for the remaining 16 games. It's that simple. Got to have 18 men on the ice. Get the power play clicking again, and they also got to get that third line going again and having the third line really be successful. Back when they had Justin Cimarero, Josh Fletcher, and Andrew Lugar on the same line, on the third line, the Black Bears third line dictated how the games went. And I think that's very important. So that's pretty much it. Play hard for 60 minutes. Get Gavin Yates scoring again. Limit the trips to the box for the retaliatory type penalties. Play a full roster for the remaining 16 games. Get the power play clicking again. And get that third line really rolling really well. No matter who's on it, it's got to be good. And it's got to dictate the games. So
hi, this is Don.
That's pretty much it. I want to give my voice a rest, so let's get over to the interview with Josh Fletcher. He'll be coming up next right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. I'm really excited to have this gentleman on the show with us. He comes to us from the Binghamton Black Bears. He is one of their forwards. Comes to us actually from Calgary, Alberta, Canada as well. So I'm very excited to talk to him because I know I've talked to a lot of the guys so far from the Toronto area and the Ontario area, but he is the first one that I get to talk to from Calgary. He is, of course, Josh Fletcher. Josh, welcome to the show. Glad to have you on, and can't wait to talk to you.
Oh, and thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So, Josh, we were talking before the interview about, hockey, youth hockey in Calgary. Can you talk to me a little bit about it? Because obviously I've had some of the guys on from the Ontario area, and obviously very, very, very high competitive and everything. First of all, tell us, when did you start playing organized hockey? I'm going to guess probably around that 5 or 6 years old age.
Yeah, no, I want to say that probably started when I was 4, like the winter of when I was 4 years old, playing with 5-year-olds, and then I went back to playing with 5-year-olds when I was 5. So I started organized when I was 4, and then continued into my age group when I was 5.
Gotcha.
So it was that 5-6 age.
Now, how competitive is even youth hockey at that age in Calgary?
I would say when you're 5 years old, it's more of just getting your basics down and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
You kind of just start to see who naturally gets it right away, who was put on the ice when they were 2 years old and who was put on the ice when they were 5 years old. Just that natural balance on your skates and everything. And then when you get into the ages of 6, 7, 8, that's when you have spring hockey coming around. So that's when you notice it getting a lot more competitive and kids getting a lot more committed to the sport at a really young age.
And that was the time for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. So when I was 6, 7, 8, I played spring hockey, and then I think when I was 9 as well. And then you kind of stop when you're a little bit older. So
what about any other sports in Calgary? I know obviously the Canadian Football League is popular up there, so people definitely watch that. You guys obviously watch the NFL as well and everything. Baseball, I know at least on the eastern side of the country is very popular. Not sure, is it popular up in Calgary as well?
Baseball, it's kind of hit or miss. It depends. We used to have a very semi-professional team there, the Vipers, I believe, but baseball doesn't really last in Calgary that much, professionally. But yeah, when it comes to sports, we kind of touched on it before, but hockey is obviously the main driver because it's so cold so many months of the year in Canada. So when you're playing sports like soccer, football, anything outside really, it's kind of tougher because you don't have as long as a season as you should because the winters are so intense up north that you can't really be outside and play them, where you can kind of get away with it in New York, maybe extending it an extra month or an extra few weeks, but in Canada it kind of shuts down. So you see a lot of box lacrosse and a lot of hockey. They're both driven inside and in an arena, so those are probably the two most popular, but you're also seeing out east there's a lot of basketball and everything being played because you're seeing a lot more Canadians going to the NBA and the NFL. So
which is very, very interesting because, as the hockey development side in America gets better and we see more and more American players become professionals and playing in the NHL, the AHL, the ECHL, down to the SP, and of course the Fed and everything, we're also seeing more Canadians, like you said, play other sports, whether it be soccer, whether it be the NFL, whether it be Major League Baseball and everything, which is very interesting. But for you, did you play any other youth sports before it became hockey only?
Yeah, well, I always played every sport in the recess yard, you know what I mean? But organized, I only played baseball. I did 2 years of parent pitch and then tried out and made a team and then had to make the decision between hockey and baseball. And for me, it was a pretty easy decision to play hockey. So
absolutely. Now, of course, did you grow up a Flames fan?
Okay, well, that's kind of a...
Oh.
I am by heart a Flames fan, but until I was probably around 6 or 7, I have to say I was partly a Leafs fan. That's to do with my uncle and my brother, massive Leafs fans, and every single gift I got until then was Toronto Maple Leafs, Ty Domi, Darcy Tucker, Wendell Clark. I was forced that in front of my face quite a bit.
You said Ty Domi, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I was a massive Ty Domi fan.
Well, he played here in Binghamton when he was part of the Rangers organization. Ty Domi played here. You're playing in an arena that Ty Domi played in when he was playing minor league hockey.
Well, there we go. Now, that's the second one, actually, because when he was with the Rangers as well, when I was at school in Manhattanville, we played at Playland Ice Casino, and that was their practice facility for years.
Yeah.
So and it's an interview of him in there, so now I have 2 rinks that I can cross off with him.
Well, there you go, which is pretty cool. So, when you made the decision that it's going to be hockey only, and you kind of threw baseball to the side, when did you guys start to realize for you, whether it be your parents or coaches, that you had the ability to not just play hockey in Canada, as a youth hockey player, but that you were going to more than likely excel and, eventually get into, junior A and things of that nature. What age group was it that they noticed that you had the skill?
I can't take any credit away from them thinking I was going to do it at a young age because they put so much time and money and effort in developing me.
Right.
But I feel because I was really good as a kid. That's why I played spring hockey. Because that's where the competitive side thing, you'd have to be invited to these teams and play for them, and pay a good chunk of change because a lot of it was travel. So we'd be flying out to Winnipeg, Toronto, Burnaby out and near Vancouver, just to have these tournaments against other spring teams. So travel teams, I guess, that happen off season. But when I was 15 years old, it was when my dad really sat me down. He was like, if you want, I have my older brother as well who played professional in the hockey and everything, but he sat me down and he's like, hey, you have an example in front of you on how to kind of get to the routes of doing it. It's just you got to commit to it. And so I'd say when I sat down with him when I was 15, we really just strategized a plan for me to follow, and we knew that wasn't set in stone. It's going to change. It's hockey, but something at least for us to follow and set a goal for.
Now, you said that your brother played too ahead of you. He was older?
Yeah, he's 13 years older than me, so he played in the Saskatchewan League just like I did, and went Division III, and then was in the SJ and Coast. Oh,
really? Okay. He's not playing anymore, though, right?
No, he's been retired for quite a few years. He has a kid now and everything. So
now, what kind of information did he provide to you? I mean, obviously, you could talk to your dad. Your dad worked with him and everything, but what has he told you about playing? Not just pro hockey, but when he played in the SJ as well.
Well, yeah, my brother's probably been my biggest role model in hockey, and I don't want to sound touche saying that, but it's just kind of how it worked with us kind of having the same style of hockey, which is kind of that power forward build and presence on the ice. He watched a lot of my games. He's always been there. He's watched me develop. So he told me things like advice on fights. He's told me when when you're going through slumps, how to kind of bust out of them and not let the slumps affect you. And just small things, because it is hard to give a hockey player advice on their career when you haven't lived it. And he's lived it, so he understands it, and he's always kind of related it to his own situation.
Talk to me a little bit about playing junior A, because you start off. What age group do you start off playing? Minor junior A.
So the youngest you can go into it is 15 or 16, I believe, and I know things have changed in the last few years too, with underages and everything. But the norm, I guess the norm would be you'd enter when you're 18, like graduate high school, and you get 3 years of junior A till you're 20.
So when you joined the Broncos, how old were you?
I was 18 out of high school.
Gotcha.
So that was my first year out of like midget AAA, like U18. So, and then I went straight to the Broncos from midget. That's when I was 18.
Now, were you drafted into the Broncos?
No. So, like, I wasn't like drafted by anybody, but growing up, like since I was 15 years old till I was 18, I was going to Drumheller's camp, like their spring camps, and making a name for myself there. And Humboldt was calling me the whole summer because I wasn't signed with anybody. I was technically a free agent for junior teams, and I was just like, everyone kind of expected me to go there, but Humboldt was relentless on me and were calling me a whole bunch, and it ended up just being a better situation and a better spot for me to try to break into the junior A like level. Now,
you were only there for 12 games, and then obviously went over to Kinserly. Can you talk about that situation and why you went over there?
100%. Yeah, no. We like when I went to Humboldt, it was a really good team. We were, I think we went on. I think we were like 11-1 at like right at the start of the season, and there's a lot of good players on that team. And it was like really competitive, and I was doing everything I could to earn my spot. I was working hard and practices every day, and showing up to the gym and like logging in the hours and everything. And the 12 games I did play, I was only seeing like 4 to 6 shifts because that's just how it works in junior hockey. Is 4 lines, and we were a good team. Like, we were winning games, so you can't like fix something that wasn't broken. And a few months in, we had our player meetings, and I didn't like ask for a trade or any of that. I just asked for an opportunity, and he kind of just talked to me. He's like, "No, I agree with you. Like, you really deserve one." And then I got traded to Kindersley a week later after that meeting, and that like wasn't a bad trade. It was actually a good thing. Like, obviously, I wasn't on a first place team anymore. I went down to an 11th place team at the time, but that gave me an opportunity. Like, I was a second line guy walking in there, and I had to earn everything I got there and to keep it and everything. But it gave me more of an opportunity to grow in the SJ.
Now, what did you kind of learn about yourself as a player when you got to Humboldt and then eventually over to Kinserly? Because you know, you're like you said, you're going from a first place team to 11th place team, and the style of hockey is a little bit different. The level of hockey is a little bit different.
Yeah, no, 100%. First thing that, like, obviously I had my meeting, went and got my stuff, and traveled to meet the team on the road. And as soon as I walk onto the bus, my coach shook my hand. He's like, "You're not a real hockey player until you've been traded." And I still kind of attest to that like statement because it's not even an overwhelming experience or anything. It's just different. It's like you're best friends with these 24 guys and you're battling with them every day, and then a business move was made and you end up driving somewhere, showing up to another group of 24 men, and they're ready to go to war as well, and you have to get into that like brotherhood culture with them as well, understand their systems and everything. So there's a lot to learn like through that whole experience and process, and luckily for me, that trade was one of the better things that happened to me in my junior career, and like all the roads should have lined up to me going to Kindersley with that trade. So I learned a lot from it, and I feel like every player has their own kind of trade story, but it is the whole experience of meeting a whole group of new guys and understanding all the new systems.
Now, I've talked to people before, players before, who've played in major junior, you know, whether it be the Q, the O, or the W. And some of them have told me it's very similar to semi-pro hockey, almost, and everything. What was your experience playing in the SJ like? Is it more like it was for you in college, or is it more like it is now?
Yeah, 100% more like now. It's a lot, especially in Saskatchewan. It's a lot of smaller towns. So Friday night, Saturday night, we were getting great crowds out there. That's like something to go watch and do, and everybody loved us. It was on and off. Like we had good months, bad months, and they stuck with us, and they were always there. And like in college, it was kind of like you're a student first and athlete second. That's always the mindset, especially the school I went to. So not like, you know what I mean, sports were cool, but like we had an off-campus rink and everything, so it wasn't like the cream of the crop. But like when I was in Saskatchewan, like you were taken care of by billets really well, and just like you are here. Everyone, like, you know what I mean? People know who you are. They watched you play Friday, and they might see you at CVS the next day or something. You know what I mean? So it's a cool experience, and like that's what I love about Binghamton. We have fans that like show you that they care, and like, you know what I mean? You have that. Like, you don't want to call it celebrity, but it's like a little celebrity presence. And when you're experiencing that as a 16-year-old to 20-year-old in a small town in Saskatchewan, it's really cool experience. You get to learn early.
Now you got to see playoffs every single year with the Clippers. Talk a little bit about what it's like to play in the playoffs in the Junior A.
Yeah, they were like, that was my so making the playoffs in Junior A was my first series experience. So we play in the best of 3, best of 4 series, best of 7 series. So,
right.
That was my first taste of that, and that was really cool because you get to see the whole town get together and get ready for a playoff push. And obviously the more support and the more bodies you get into the building, the more energy and the more you have a purpose to win those games, if that makes sense. Obviously you want to win every hockey game, but when you have 5,000 or 3,000 people behind you wanting the same thing, it, you know what I mean, just intensifies the experience so much more. So having that playoff push at that young age, 18 to 20, was awesome because for 3 years straight I got to see the town come together and push, and obviously we never got the results that we wanted because I'm not an SJ champion, but I had that experience through it and enjoyed so much life experience and memories that will never go away.
I think there's more D3 college teams than there is D1 college teams. I haven't heard of all of them. I had to look up Manhattansville College and everything. Talk to me a little bit about the decision and how you got to Manhattansville after Junior A. How did you get to that D3 school? Because, again, I had to look it up. I didn't even know where it was until I was prepping for your interview.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I didn't really know about it either until I was 19 years old. But, yeah, like you said, there's so many D3 programs and everything. And for me, playing in the SJ, it's harder to get recruited for schools because you're out west in Saskatchewan. There's not a lot of the D1 schools and stuff are located out here on the east side of America. So to get them to travel out pretty much Midwest, more west than mid, and to a really cold area to watch a showcase and stuff, it's kind of tougher to get. Obviously, the scouts want, but I had Arlen Marshall, who was the scout for Manhattanville at the time. He grew up in Humboldt, and he would always come to the showcases, and I talked to him my 20-year-old year, and he was just a very, he did his job very well when it came to recruiting, and he sat down with my mom and my brother at the time, and he laid down everything and how everything was going to go, and I had quite a few offers other than that when it came to D3 as well, but the way he conducted business and how professional he was and how comfortable I felt going, because I didn't know anybody at Manhattanville. I knew I was going to be on a hockey team, and I knew I was getting my degree, so I made that choice to go out there and kind of I wouldn't say start a new life, but start a new life, not know, you know what I mean? Didn't know anybody, walking away knowing a whole bunch of people, but so the coach my freshman year, he ended up finding me at the SJHL showcase, and he's just really professional about the whole process, and it was really easy and comforting for me to go over and play for him.
What was the school like?
The school?
What was it like?
I enjoyed my time there. It's really fun. It's a liberal arts school, so you have a lot of dance and stuff like that as well going on. I took business management. They have a really good finance program as well. So when it came to business side of things as well, they were the classes they offered and the education they offered was really good. We were the only team on campus that was not technically in the Skyline division because they don't have hockey Skyline.
Right, exactly.
So the rest of our sports played in a completely different division, which also might have made things a little different for us, getting support and all that, because we were in the UCHC, so weren't connected to other teams.
So you're also so close to New York City. What was it like to be able to go to school, play hockey, and be that close to the city?
Definitely expensive.
Yeah.
That was definitely one factor that plays in. But no, that was also another really cool thing. Getting to go down. I would say I'd probably try to get down there once a month when I was in school, because like you said, I was a 50-minute train ride away from being in Times Square. So Grand Central and Times Square. Like, I don't know, it's just a really cool experience to, number one, yeah, you're living on campus and you're going to school and then you're going to the rink and play every day, but then just escape into, I like to call it the smaller office, 9 million people. You're just in the concrete jungle. Like, you always see it in movies, you always see it. And to just go there once a month, like, I could never live there personally. That's, you'd have to pay me a lot of money to, like, live there just because I've been born in such a different part of the world. But it was really cool to, like, go to MSG. Like, I saw the Flames versus Rangers last year. One of the coolest things I've seen, like, just that whole arena, the ceiling of it and everything. Just, like, it's all the things you learn about as a kid when it comes to hockey as well. And you see it, like, one of the biggest stages in front of you. Like, it was just kind of surreal. And then Yankee games, went to numbers of those. Like, it was great time.
Well, you know, we were talking off air about obviously what Matt Remke is doing. He is a big boy. You called him. Would you call him a typical
Western Canadian boy?
Yeah, I mean, because I from what I've heard, because you guys got the Calgary Rough Riders, right? That's the Canadian football.
Well, we have the Roughnecks, I believe.
Roughnecks.
Rough Riders is Saskatchewan. Yeah, Roughnecks is lacrosse.
Well, you know what? I knew I was getting one of the names right, something right. I got the Rough right and everything. I mean, is it true that, you know, out in Calgary they are big boys? Because Matt Remke, he's a huge boy.
Yeah, well, no, like, that's what I like. Just the common, like, I guess, stereotype of Western Canada is like, we have Saskatchewan, which has you have all your farm boys that are tough in, and then you have Alberta, which is a cowboy area as well, and you have some big boys, and that was like we were talking about how, like, the Dub and the AJ and all that, like, you have guys that seriously know how to throw hands and guys that are big and tough in that league. So I'm not surprised about his entrance. Could
Connor Smith compete with some of the rodeo stuff that happens in Calgary? Because I know there's rodeo up in Calgary. They actually do that as much as anywhere else, right?
Yeah, we have the world's largest outdoor rodeo or show. It's a 10-day long rodeo in Calgary. It's called the Calgary Stampede, and
they actually flood the arena.
I've been talking to him all year about that. About, like, he needs to get on that stage one day, but I don't think he also I don't think wants to get to that stage of getting on those crazy bulls, because that's like the NHL of bull riding, kind of like there is the PBR, which is like the professional bull riding like league and organization, but then the cash amount prize you win at the Calgary Stampede is almost just as good of a season. You know what I mean? So if you can ride a bull for 10 days pretty strong, then you can earn a good chunk of change for yourself. And I've been telling him he has to get at least up to visit me and see that, because that's literally you know what I mean, see the Stanley Cup finals of bull riding. So that'd be, I don't know, I don't know if he'll ever get on one of those bulls in his life. The ones he's riding are a little bit more tame than those ones, but I at least want to get him up to see them.
Were you surprised that when you got to Binghamton and there was a real-life cowboy on the team?
Yeah, look, I've definitely played with, like, farmers and cowboys before, but I've never played with a bull rider before.
Yeah.
So when I was, like, it took me, I think, 2 weeks to learn that he was actually a bull rider, and I was like, wait, so you actually just do this for fun, like, once in a while, like, no problem. Like, he was doing it at the start of the season. I was like, you're crazy. But that's exactly every cowboy I've met. They got to be a little bit crazy to do the things they do. And
he's a big boy too. It's not like he's a small guy either.
No, exactly. He is a big boy, and I always bug him about that. I always rough him up because I like the bigger they are, the harder they fall. So I always tough them around.
No, exactly. All right, so tell me the story about how you got to Binghamton. Like, how did that? Did you just come to camp? Did you get invited to camp? How did you get in touch with Sherwood to get here?
Well, I've like a pretty similar story to McNamara, actually.
Oh, okay.
So my roommate for 4 years in college was Connor Boyce, who also helped him get here, right? I'm pretty sure he talked about that on the show.
Yeah.
So him as well. I just met Sherwood through him, I think, my sophomore year, just like playing hockey and like doing camps and stuff like that with him. And then at the end of the year last year, I think he reached out to like my buddy Boyce told him like, hey, he's still playing, and if you want to reach out to him, reach out to him. And me and like Sherwood reached out, and he knew like I was still going to play and everything, so he reached out, and I had to make that decision at the time because at the end of last year, we lost, I think it was 11-1 to Utica in the semifinals.
Wow.
So it took me some time to process. Like, obviously, I was still in love with the sport and everything, but going to the D3 route and everything, I do have student loans and everything to pay off. So I had to put everything in, like, my whole life into kind of like a picture and like plan, like, hey, I go play for Binghamton, will it work? And I ended up working it out, like organizing it in my mind and making it work out. And Sherwood offered me a chance to come to camp, and he said, "There's a spot, you just got to earn it." And the rest was history. I flew down to New York City. I have a girlfriend out in Connecticut, so she helped me move all, because I don't have a car or anything. So she helped me move all in and everything, and started camp, and then the team came.
Now, when you got here and everything, what did you know about Binghamton before you came here?
Well, I knew the Senators and the Devils were here obviously before, because being a hockey fan and always knowing the AHL was part of the team. And then, honestly, until last year, because like I didn't really look into the Fed too much until last year near the end of the season, when like there was opportunity to still play for teams. So I noticed Binghamton had one, and then did some research into it, and like I just did some research into the whole Fed and looked at kind of locations, all the teams and locations. That's pretty cool. And then Sherwood got the job there, and I was like, yeah, that's awesome for him. And I just, when he called me this summer and he shared all the information about Binghamton and everything, I was like, okay, yeah, this is kind of what I had pictured in my mind, like the arena and just like how you, like the fan base they have and the support you guys have here. It's a pretty easy decision, and it's a hockey town. That's what I think of Binghamton. It's pretty clear cut that it's highly support. Like, you guys have Binghamton University, which is awesome, a really good school, a lot of D1 sports in that school. And then you have hockey, and that's something you guys have always had, is a hockey team. You've always supported one. So
yeah, and it is very much a hockey town here. First, we've obviously had minor league baseball here for many years. I mean, going way back into the late 1800s, there's been a minor league hockey or a baseball team here, and the triplets in the 50s and the 60s, and eventually, obviously, the Binghamton Mets came here, and being Double-A ever since then with the Rumble Ponies. But it is interesting because this is a hockey town first. But I have to ask you, because I know you guys don't get paid a lot of money. So is it truly is it still a progression of your game to possibly get to a better place? Not necessarily a better place than Binghamton, New York, but a higher level of hockey, because you guys don't get paid a lot of money. So this is truly for the love of the game, correct?
Yeah, no, 100%. It's like it's a compensated league, so it's a prospect league, and that's why you see the 3 lines on each team instead of 4, and all that. It's because it's here for you. Yeah, like you're supposed to play a season and everything, but it's supposed to develop you for the next step, which would be the ST or the Coast if you're moving up in professional ranks.
Right.
And yet Binghamton offers that opportunity, especially if you're on a winning team in a prospect league. When teams have to, at the end of the year, recruit and look for other players, they're going to look at stats, obviously, yes, and then they're going to look at winning teams. Who was a part of that winning culture? Who was a part of that? So Binghamton's doing an amazing job of offering that for myself. Truly, I'm not sure if that's like a full-on ambition for myself. Yeah, that's still something I have to think about, but I'm doing, like, I came to Binghamton straight for the love of hockey and just straight to come here and help, like, do everything I can to win a championship, because at the end of the day, that's why our whole team is here playing hockey. And mindset is you're going to move up a level or you're going to win a championship, and that's all you can ask for in your career.
Now, there's a lot of guys who have played at a higher level that are playing here in Binghamton right now. Donald Oliveri is one of those guys. Gavin Yates, Tyson Kirkby's even played in the SP and everything. Is there any guy on this team that you've just kind of picked his brain about being a pro hockey player?
Sorry, did you say playing?
Yeah, is there any guy that's here that's playing on the team that's a veteran that you've kind of picked their brain about being a pro hockey player?
Oh, 100%. Like talking to guys like Kirks, and he played junior at a young age, like we were talking about. And he's had professional experience up in the SP, and then even talking to Don and them, they're so experienced. And this is my first year in professional hockey. I've been playing for 20 years now, but this is my first year in professional hockey. So yeah, there's a lot to learn at this level, and having guys that have played up a level that are have come back down, they take you under their wing and they show you the ropes, and you're not going to follow their footprints exactly because everybody has their own footprints, but it helps you understand and kind of grab a grasp of what it's like and what to do and not to do, I guess.
Right.
And also the same thing is, too, you see the fact that these guys are that good, that they could be playing up in those levels, and the fact that they're here shows that they're bought in to win a championship, and that's been the mindset here, so that you're also learning that factor of things, too.
Josh, let's take you back to, I believe it was December 16th, 2023. Might have been a game against the Watertown Wolves. Maybe there was a hit to the head. And then you popped up and you just threw gloves. I mean, you just dropped your gloves as quickly as possible. Tell me about that play. Tell me about that fight.
Yeah, no, for sure.
If you remember it. I don't know if you remember it after the hit from behind.
Oh, no. I definitely remember that one. That one player was down on a breakaway, and then he got stopped. I forget what goalie was in that. That's one thing I definitely do forget. But nice save, and he was on his knees and kind of sprung up, and I got sucker punched in the face. And that's, I don't know, where I'm from at least, that's a telltale sign that we're going. So
yep.
As soon as I kind of just realized that I got popped, I got up, like you said, gloves flying off, hands flying, and my eyes just kind of go red in that scenario for sure, and just let loose and went at it, and then things got crazy on that one because it was an all-right fight at the start, and then we had the third guy in, and then I remember we had Reeves getting jumped as well in the corner, so chaos kind of broke loose, and I don't know. It
was funny, too, because Tate Leeson's the one that hit you, and you get up and you start fighting with Trevor Lord.
Huh? Yeah, no. Well, no, I started fighting Leeson. It's Tomasi. He came over the top ropes while I was going with, and then Lord started, he got Weebs.
That's right.
On the corner of the fight.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, you were a jack-in-the-box. I mean, you literally get hit, you bounced back up like a jack-in-the-box and just dropped gloves. I mean, we're not even talking about 20 seconds in between. Literally, it was within seconds. Split second, you were up and you already had dropped your gloves. You knew it was coming.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I said, if you're going to take a punch like that, I wasn't really expecting that punch. That's the first thing that's going to go through my mind is it's okay to go. Usually, when I get in fights and stuff, there's communication and you both agree to it or whatever, or you can at least see someone drop his gloves. You know what I mean? When you get popped one, you got to get up and defend yourself, and I'm not expecting anybody else to defend me on that one. So that's why, like you said, you get hit and you can go down, but try to get up fast and give it back.
By the way, it was Connor Mack that was in goal for that game.
It was? Oh, yeah, I know. And then I should have remembered that, too, because he's defended me a few times because me and Leeson have talked quite a few times, and he always reminds him of that.
Oh, that's funny. I did not know that. Okay, yeah. So let's go back to October 20th. Obviously, second game for you, first goal. Do you remember your first goal?
Oh, yeah, 100%, especially in Danbury, so close to where my school was. So I had my girlfriend, a whole bunch of her family at that game. And
sweet.
I
That's
had
good.
A few of my buddies from school in the stands as well. And for me, being from out west, like I said at the start of the interview, I didn't really get to play in front of a lot of people. I came all the way out here not knowing anybody, and to be able to get my first professional goal in front of that many people that I know and will probably see for the rest of my life is something surreal and a memory that will last for life. And I'm sure they'll always remember that as well when I'm talking about it 20 years from now. So it was nice to get that first one so early in the season, and especially in Danbury.
Josh, how good is the Binghamton Black Bears? How good do you think you guys are?
I think we're the best team in the Fed, and that's just because of the guys we have in the room. And we haven't won anything yet. Obviously, we have a good winning record this year, and that shows how good we are. But at the end of the year, it'll really show. But my confidence in our team is extremely high. I see how much work the guys have put in all year, and we haven't made that many changes to the guys that have been in this room. So having that same workhorse mentality and all the pistons running smoothly, I don't know, there's a lot of confidence in this group, and I think we could easily be, at the end of the year, the best team in the Fed.
Is the rivalry with Danbury, Elmira, and Watertown real?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's you can't really pick out a rivalry because rivalries are usually one-on-one.
Right.
Yeah, it's you definitely have 3 mini rivalries there, though. So it is that divisional rivalry. We play each other how many ever times each, at least 10 plus, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
For each team. So when there's not you still have the same faces, those same faces seeing each other that many times and battling for 60 minutes. You're going to remember things that happened a few weeks ago, and then the rivalries continue, and the hockey, you guys are learning each other's system month by month, so you're changing them and they're changing them, and it is that rivalry kind of mentality.
What did you see differently sitting out this past game against Elmira? You were home. You watched it with Uturo. The two of you guys watched the game on YouTube in your apartment and everything. What did you see differently than when you are on the ice? What did you notice differently about the team?
Yeah, obviously seeing it from a eagle eyes perspective, you're going to see a lot more mistakes and stuff that are happening that you feel like you could capitalize on and stuff. That goes both ways for Elmira and Binghamton on
Right.
this weekend's game. Compared to when you're actually in the speed of the game and playing in it, you're not going to notice those little mistakes and stuff because they're happening so often. Not just hockey, but you can point them out a lot easier when you're standing above it and seeing it versus pointing them out when you're in the play. And that's usually where the coach comes in when you're on the bench and stuff. If you don't notice that you did made a mistake, so he's not going to point you out for everyone. But if it's obvious and you don't know it, he's going to pull you aside and be like, hey, you need to make sure that side's covered, or else they're going to breakaway type of situation. So sitting out it obviously sucks watching your team and stuff, but it's also really good as a player to have to do that once in a while, just to understand these are still the systems running, and you kind of see it come to life versus being the person that's doing it.
So a good learning tool for you.
100%, yes. And that's, our team does video all the time, and it is nice seeing yourself in video as well, but it's also nice seeing, just not having the stress of seeing yourself and, watching how your team does without you, and, you know what I mean, the dynamics of that. You understand the dynamic of your team a lot more because you're out as well, so you're part of that dynamic, and you see how things change.
How important has it been that you've been part of the face-off team for this squad, in the sense that, you're one of 5 or 6 guys that take face-offs and everything? How important is it to get that win, and how important is it to be relied on by your team to win that face-off?
Yeah, no, that's awesome that you brought that up, because I was actually talking about that today with McNamara. I didn't really realize, I went through juniors, I played a little bit of center. I was mostly a wing in juniors, but I played a little bit of center. Never really realized, I always helped my center out. That was my focus on face-off. Never really noticed how important the center's job was until I moved to college and took over the center role in the forward. And yeah, no, it's extremely important. It's D-zone and O-zone, you can look at it either way. D-zone, you need to get the puck out, and to do that, you need possession. And you look at how many face-offs are happening per game. I want to say 50. I think there's 50-plus face-offs on almost every single game we played this year. So when you're seeing at least 10 of those plus, you want to have your percentages up. You want to have that possession, and that's what starts with a possession. And especially in this league and every professional league and every league everywhere, there's so many goals and plays that are created off of winning a face-off and the possession of the puck off of a face-off.
Well, the third line has been so good this year, between you, Justin Samaro, Andrew Logar. I mean, the three of you guys, when you guys were together at the beginning of the season playing, oh my gosh. I mean, it was the best third line in, I think, the FPHL.
Yeah, we called it the rat line. It was just that's what we needed at the time. We had two really skilled lines that were scoring a lot of goals per game and carrying a lot of the offensive load. So it was our job to make sure we were defensively sound and bringing that energy that's needed in the game. So we were just playing smart, simple hockey, and that, like you said, I agree with you. That line was really good at the start of the year, and sadly we can't really do that right now just because of positions. And Rogues has moved to center, and he's excelled in that role so much. Like, unbelievable how natural he is as a center and how fast he adapted from going wing to center. But when we were all together, we grew.
And he never really played center either before, right?
No, I think he played a little bit when he was in college at Buffalo State there. But I did talk to him a bit about it because he's been asking me about face-offs and stuff like that as well. And it's a natural position for him.
Gotcha. Okay.
But, he hasn't played it in professional yet.
What's funny, though, is, he's scored 12 goals this year. 9 of them have been on the power play. I mean, he's turned into a power play
one
specialist.
Of the best power play.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, one of the best power play guys for sure. Not even just on our team in the league. He runs that bumper spot to a perfection. He supports everybody high, low. Perfect. He always finds he's really he's really snaky when it comes in. He's behind you and you don't know he's behind you, but he's wide open behind you. And I deal with that in practice, trying to cover him all the time. And then I watch it on the power play. He gets those split passes or he gets the puck in that bumper area, and a lot of success comes his way for that.
Josh, I've asked it pretty much everybody for the past 5 or 6 weeks. This question: what is the goal for this team?
For this team,
yeah.
I think I've preached it quite a few times already this call, but has to be winning the championship. It's been that way since the start of the year. You come here to either move up in the levels of professional hockey or to win a championship. And that's a pretty simple philosophy.
Is that coming from Coach Sherwood? Is that his mindset? Is that we are here to win a championship?
Yes, 100%. Because if you weren't, what else are you here to do? You're here to play 58 games, just to go into playoffs and lose out right away. Then you're just here to move up the ranks or to waste time. If you break down the science of it. So, yeah, he did break down the science, and he told you, if you're coming here, there's two things you got to be committed to, and that's either wanting to move up the ranks in professional hockey or doing everything it takes to win a championship. And honestly, it's a very simple strategy, but I feel like every team kind of needs that philosophy, you know what I mean? It works really well because when you do break down the science of it, you're playing hockey to ultimately, win the hockey games, but at the end of the season, you want to be ready to win enough hockey games in a row where you can be the best, say you're the best this year.
Awesome. He is Josh Fletcher from the Binghamton Black Bears. Josh, thank you very much. We really appreciate it, and good luck this weekend against Sam in the Elmira River Sharks. If you guys see Sam, maybe that'll be interesting to see if you guys can score on him like you probably have in practice a few times and everything. So that'll be an interesting game for sure.
It'll be a good weekend for sure. We're getting to see Elmira again, get hopefully a little bit of revenge on them, and then down to Danbury, and then the weekend after we are back at home. So
yeah, Mississippi.
That'll be really nice.
Yeah, Mississippi. A different. For the fans in Binghamton, it's just different colors. We get to see different colored jerseys for a couple of games, which will be kind of nice, especially after seeing. I think Elmira 13 times, 12 times now. Danbury, it's 14 times. It'll be nice to see some different jerseys for sure.
No, it would be nice for us to see a new team as well.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a team that you guys don't hate at this point. So
no, exactly, or doesn't hate us at this point.
Well, there you go. Exactly. All right, he is Josh Fletcher. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net. for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. We have a great show, hopefully, planned for next week. I think you're really going to like it. If everything comes through like we're hoping, it'll be a pretty cool interview and show. And I'm going to kind of leave it like that. I want to kind of leave a little bit of a teaser there. Kind of working with this a little bit differently than I normally would. I just want to throw out a very special thank you to Brooks Hill. He's done a phenomenal job getting me the interviews this year and done a great job. And he and I have kind of collaborated a little bit on, who we're going to bring on and who we're going to talk to. And I'm really glad that he's been here to help us with that. But next week's interview coming from a little bit of a different area, and I'll explain that when we get to it next week, if everything comes together exactly how we're hoping it to. So let's get to this. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast and subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and search for Power Play Post Show. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. Thank you to Rob Lapolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and, of course, Binghamton Black Bears Forward, Josh Fletcher. We will talk to you on Sunday after we get through these 2 games here against Elmira and, of course, against Danbury. We'll talk to you on Sunday right here on the Power Play Post Show. We'll have 6 more questions with Josh Fletcher. So until then, enjoy the games this weekend, and thank you for listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.